three of the biggest reasons you feel stuck and how to get out of it, and why the self-help group books and all that positive thinking may not be helping you. I am a huge fan of positive, personal development, positive thinking, all of those things. And I do think that I'm fairly positive, right? But one of the things that I've learned, I actually learned three things, and it took me getting a brain tumor to figure it out was um, there's a lot of talk about the mindset around being a victim or a victim mindset. And what does that really mean? It means like things are happening to me or to you, blaming situations, really being stuck in the problem and blaming things. And I could go on a whole topic, and I'm going to do a podcast on what the victim mindset. And I have to say, my whole life, I was a recovering victim. I was, my childhood, I blamed a lot of my parents. I sat back and said, why me? I chose behaviors that were just not good. And one of the things that I've learned is that really going deep, like when I got diagnosed with a brain tumor, it was really easy to say, why is this happening to me? One of the things that my mind did, and it was through, personal development and all the studying that I did and helping other people, was I said, what can I learn here? What is going on? In addition to doing a deep dive on like my physical health, I thought I was at my peak and my prime in physical health for sure. But I went deeper on that, and diet and reducing inflammation and all that stuff. But the big thing was that I was missing was the stress. And I don't want to just say it's stress, right? The big piece that I was missing was that I was living my life like I was in survival mode constantly. Like I had a lot of past trauma, childhood stuff that I somewhat dealt with, right? But the big thing was it just took me that event to say, oh my God, let me dive deeper into this part of my life. And I've learned, right, that the pain wasn't the enemy. The pain was actually the teacher. And it took, a couple events, but now I realize that that very thing, transforming our pain, and that's what I was able to do, which I thought was fantastic, was genius, is really looking at it, unburdening that pain and the parts around it using an amazing self-leadership technique, but really embracing the pain. And the biggest challenge that I face, and I think a lot of people face, is the fact that we try to avoid the pain. We numb it out. Workaholic. I'm raising my hand right now. I'm a recovering workaholic. We numb it out. Alcohol, drugs, overworking, all kinds of eating, overeating, eating sweets, all of these things that we do that actually cause us to feel worse, right? So that is one of the huge reasons, is looking at the being a victim, number one. Number two is also not embracing the pain, but trying to avoid it. And that is one of the huge transformations, and I don't mean to put down all this positive thinking and self-help books. Believe me, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I learn a lot of things. I've read a lot. Tony Robbins was, I grew up with the guy, and honestly, he was the guy that got me to change my state, get into action, and do those other things. But the one missing piece was that I didn't feel it genuinely inside. And that's okay, right? I could high five my mirror all day. I could do all kinds of things to kind of boost my energy, which getting that energy and momentum is great. But if I'm avoiding the big thing that's holding me back, that is what's literally holding me back, right? The other thing too is the third thing, which I think is probably the crux and the most powerful thing, is really helping, not just helping others, but getting help, asking for help. One of the hardest things that we do, or, is to say, hey, I need some help. And I'm a huge fan of having a coach, a support, or a mentor, or all of them. The huge thing about that is, for example, I start a new job, right? You start a new job, it's really hard. You have a preceptor, you have somebody that kind of guides you through, and it feels like it's the hardest thing to do in the first couple months. But, you get into it by 6 months, you're like, oh my God, it's great. But at certain times, you need help, you need guidance, you need coach. And sometimes just some encouragement is really, really helpful. I encourage you to get involved in groups, pay for a coach. I think it's money well spent. Find a mentor or do something like that. If you need that, reach out. I'd be happy to help you out. But those are the three things that I think that keeps us stuck, right? It keeps us stuck. And before we know it, we're kind of on this treadmill of doing the same yo-yo. We get motivated, we make a few changes, and we kind of go back. And I think looking at this mindset piece was huge. And it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow to say, hey, I've been a victim in this area. I've lived my life in this victim mode. And what that does is it robs us of close relationships with people. Have you ever been around people that are like, poor me, all this and all that? After a while, it's a little challenging. And believe me, I was that guy. I could think back and, I'm like, I owe that friend dinner, more than a dinner. I owe him so much because I really just was stuck. And that's okay, and honoring that. And I think just recognizing it is super helpful, and also being like, okay, how can I change out of this? How can I move on? And I think the biggest part is embracing the pain and learning to transmute it, and looking at parts of ourselves and embracing it rather than trying to run away from it, numb it, not talk about it. So, if you're listening to this on podcasts, leave a comment, share it with somebody else. If you're listening to it on YouTube, comment below. Love to hear your feedback on it. Have a great day.